What's up, everybody? You're back on the other side with me, Mike G, and today I'm bringing you the incredible story of an OG in the fight game. She has worked in MMA as a matchmaker for right at 20 years and has put together more fights than you and I have watched. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor for me to introduce to you Nicole Castillo. How's it
Hi
going,
guys.
Nicole?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm doing well. I want to start out because it's important to me. I feel like a lot of us, kind of where we end up in life, is a reflection of how we started. I'd like to know about you as a kid. Where'd you grow up? What was life like?
I grew up in a little town in Ohio. It's like it seems like a town. It's more, you know, just normal working people. No,
Hmm.
it's not a rich town. It's not anything. It's close to Youngstown, Ohio. And everyone, when I was growing up, knew Youngstown, Ohio as the murder capital of the world. So,
Oh,
I grew up out that way. What I did back then pretty much has nothing to do with what I do now. I grew up in a normal house, two parents. Um, I was in ballet and toured the country doing dance
awesome.
competitions, and I was always competitive. So I
Hmm.
loved anything competitive. And pretty much to hang out with my dad, he was one of those, he loved sports. So
Okay.
it was, you were either going to sit and you were going to watch football or you were going to watch boxing. Those were
Hmm.
the only two sports that were on our television set. So,
Okay.
on Sundays I would sit in his lap and I'd watch football and eat popcorn. And when the big fights would come, I would watch boxing, and I absolutely loved both. So
Hmm.
it was just, it brought nostalgia. It was like getting to do something with my dad. You know what I mean? That was the
Right.
time, that was me and dad time. Rest of my time was me and mom time. You know what I mean? Because I did
Okay.
all the girl stuff. Though I was more, I guess you would want to say, a tomboy with a tutu. I wanted to play football with the boys outside, climb
Sure.
trees, dig in the dirt. Like, yeah, I play Barbies, but I more or less cut their hair off type girl, and paint their faces and still
There
play
you
with
go.
them. But I'd rather be outside playing. I was that kid. You know what I mean? I wanted to run, jump, play, push people down. The norm.
Yeah. Do you miss ESPN Friday night fights like I do?
I do. I
The
do. We were
boxing every
watching.
Friday night. You used
I
to be able
believe
to
we
watch
watched them on
good boxing.
HBO too years
Hmm.
ago. I do
Yeah.
remember. I remember both. So, and I do remember my dad even trying to get like those little boxes. I'm kind of older, that you would have to like plug into your TV to even
Hmm.
try to get these type of fights. So
Yeah. I remember the scammer boxes where you
I
didn't
think
have
that's
to
what they
pay.
are. I think that's what they
Okay. Yeah.
was. I'm pretty
I remember
sure.
watching every Pride
Knowing my
event
dad,
there
that's probably what
was.
it was.
Yeah. That's awesome. Other than with your dad, how were you introduced to combat sports outside the home?
Honestly, that's pretty much where I was.
Okay.
Off the wall fact, my dad was a hairstylist and he did Boom Boom Mancini's mother's hair.
Oh,
So I
okay.
remember Boom Boom would come in and pick up his mom, and I remember sitting
Wow.
on his lap when I was like 5, and I'm a kid,
Wow.
I don't know the difference. You know what I mean? Yeah, I
Sure.
watched him on TV, but I'm not a starstruck kid. And asking this poor man the dumbest questions, like, do you like to hit people with your right hand or your left hand? Do you like to hit people, or would you rather have people hit you? Just like strange
Sure.
little kid questions.
Hmm.
But I do remember, sitting on his lap and asking him these things. And I've seen him at fights since then and talked to him about it. And he just laughs because he remembers me as a little girl. Of course, he also
That's
says, "Oh,
awesome.
how's Joe Long?" Like, but it was like one of those things. But that's kind of where I picked up on it.
Okay.
Up until then, I was not in this industry at all. I more or less was more in the, I was competitive. So
Hmm.
anything competitive, like I said before, was something that I enjoyed. So when I started to later on, I fell into this. I was
Okay.
basically kind of doing, I don't know what you want to call it, like when you try to help weddings out, like getting the tables and the chairs and, just for a couple of my friends'
Sure.
weddings, and, helping with invites and stuff like that. Well, they were talking about maybe doing a local fight in our town. This new MMA stuff, blah blah blah, and it's kind of one of those things that they were like, "Can you help, like, since you know the places to get the chairs and the tables
Right.
and make the invites, and can you maybe figure out how to do a poster?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I can do all that, whatever." And I
Sure. No
kind of
problem.
fell into the first one, you know what I mean, doing all that, and I was ring girling and doing other stuff around sports
Hmm.
at the meantime. So I was like, "Yeah, why not?" First fight went off, and second one, the owners basically were kind of like, we're not going to do it. Screw all these people. Well, what are we going to do? We have all these people that are flying themselves in. You know what I mean? Back then,
Right.
The promotions didn't fly them in. You flew yourself in a fight,
Hmm.
and then you would get reimbursed. Well, all these guys were going to have all this money gone. Their families needed this and whatever else. I'm like, no, we can't do that. So I decided I was going to match this card. No clue what the hell I was doing. I basically, and everyone was making fun of me because I was stayed up for about 30 days straight, watching everything I could on it, going to the local gyms, getting my ass
Hmm.
whooped. You know what I mean? I just
Yeah.
wanted to learn everything I could do. And I matched my first card. Didn't even have a license to match. But back then, it was like one of those things that they didn't really ask you for that kind of stuff. They just
Sure.
cared that
Yeah.
the card got done. You know what I mean? Matched it. And I got a call from the commission maybe a day or two later. And because they knew I was helping with, like, the logistics of things
Sure.
before, like making sure everything went through. And they're like, who matched this card? And I was like, well, I did. Why? They're like, that was the best card that we've had all year long. And
Nice.
it was one of those things that MMA was in Ohio. It was already
Hmm.
here. You know what I mean? So I was like, holy shit. I was like, I did it. And they're like, no, you didn't. The guy was, burning product time. He's like, no, you didn't, kiddo. You didn't do this. I was like, you did. He's like, oh, well, I'd like you to stay on. You should be a matchmaker here. And I was like, okay, well, what do I got to do for a license? Well, everybody else I've ever heard of had to pay money. I think back then it was like $20.
Sure.
No, I had to go get coaches' signatures that I knew what I was doing. I still think to this day I was probably the only person to get that. But I did. I went ahead and learned, got coaches' signatures at gyms that I knew what I was doing, and basically, got licensed. And there she wrote. Like, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with it from jump. And here I still
That's
am 20
awesome.
years later.
Yeah.
Not really what I went to college for. Mom's not real happy. She paid for college for me to be a chemist, and here I am matching fights.
Did any part of you want to become a matchmaker to freak your parents out or upset them?
No, not at
No.
all. Not at all.
Okay.
No, not at all. I wish I had a cool story. Like, yeah, let's do that. I
I've talked
was
to
a
a lot of
rebellious
people that
kid.
they're like, I'm going to show them. I'll just become a fighter.
No,
They'll
that
they'll.
kind of came later when everyone was like,
Okay.
oh, girls can't do that, blah, blah, blah. That's
All
why I
right.
stayed. It was
All right.
basically a big F you. Like,
The
yeah,
way you're
girl, I
grinning
can do
about it, I can
this.
tell there's a chip on your shoulder about it somewhere.
Yeah. Oh, I could tell you stories. Let me tell you. It was one
I'm
of
going to ask about
those.
a couple.
Well, go ahead, because I
All
mean,
right.
there are stories behind it, but no, it had nothing to do with my family. My mom really didn't want me to do it. My dad didn't care what I did as long as I was happy. It was one of those things. Now
Okay.
my mom's just used to it, but
Gotcha.
she's old school, and fighting isn't, you know, you're not supposed to do that.
Right.
They're Neanderthals. Kind of like how people used to think of it back in the day.
Sure. Yeah. Two men enter, one man leaves.
Yeah, basically, oh, there's blood, there's this, but
Yeah.
she supports me in what I do now. It's just in the beginning she was, you know, I was a chem major, so
Protective.
she was a little bit pissed off. She's like, you're
I
not
can
even using
imagine.
your brain. I'm like, I am using my brain, just in a different capacity.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, I'm sure that forming quality relationships and the ability to network are extremely important. What makes you so good at those traits, and what all goes into that?
I feel like because I've done it for so long and I went through hell to be
Hmm.
here, that I understand that what all the bad was. Like what I see, and especially I'm not just a matchmaker, I do manage fighters too now. I kind of always did undercover, but now I made it legit. I own my own company. I'm not trying to be big like an Iridium or a Sucker Punch or anything like that. I'm just trying to
Right.
be little old me, helping out a few fighters that, need help in this. But
Okay.
I see how all the fighters are getting treated. And I see how even, other matchmakers treat myself and others around them too. And I'm like, man, I don't want to be anything like that. That's
Right.
not my goal. I see all the shit and I'm like, this is terrible. They're not,
Hmm.
some aren't even getting treated with basic human rights type things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They just get treated like they're stupid or like they don't matter. And, you know, to me, I'm like, without the matchmaker setting up your fights and without the
Hmm.
fighters, you have no fights. The fighters are your show. You
Yeah.
have to treat them with respect. You have to treat them like they're your entertainment for the night. You go
Exactly.
anywhere else and you have someone coming in to sing or do whatever, and they get treated like gold, like
Yeah.
the local heroes and stuff. But fighting has always been the other way, and I don't believe in that way. um I don't care if you're 0-0 first amateur on my card or if you're 10-0 pro, you're still going
Hmm.
to get the same treatment. Granted, pros are getting paid and amateurs aren't, but other than
Yeah.
that, you're getting the same treatment,
Yeah, it's amazing the pay. It's come up so much from what it used to be, but at the same time, especially, I've talked to a couple of guys that are just making their debut in big or haven't even debuted yet in bigger promotions. Some of these guys are getting $2,000 contracts to fight for companies that do pay-per-view events.
Right. But
Uh,
that's good. It's better than local market. You know what I mean? The local market's way, way, way less. And I've seen it go up. I've seen it go down.
right.
With COVID, it kind of sunk down
Yeah.
again because if you can't have spectators, it's really hard to even have shows. So there was only a few places
Yeah.
even doing them out my way. You know what I mean? So it goes up, it goes down. Are they getting paid what they're worth? No. But I also get both sides of this because I work in the
Sure.
middle and I see the fact that some of these promoters aren't really making much to even scrape by too. So it's kind of like I see both sides, but do I
Gotcha.
feel like the fighters should get paid more? Of course. They're the one putting their bodies and
Hmm.
everything on the line.
How long into your matchmaking career before you really started to build confidence in yourself compared to starting out?
Honestly, it was just like one of those things. I don't worry about what other people think, or at all. I used
Gotcha.
to when I was like a young kid. And then I think probably because I was the kid that everyone wore jeans. I didn't want to wear jeans. I'm going to wear stretch pants.
Hmm.
Everyone wanted to go on dates and do this and that. And I was in the dance studio all hours of my day as much as I could because I was competing. So I was kind of the person that went against the grain anyway and never really cared about any of that. So I never didn't feel confident. It was
Right.
one of the minus that first show, I'm like, I have
Right.
no clue what the hell I'm doing. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants. Once I got it down, it just felt like the rhythm went. And that's kind of probably more so why I stayed and why I do it because I just get this gut feeling and the rhythm goes. And when you got that rhythm going, you just keep matching that day. And if you're
Yeah.
having a bad day and you feel off, or I'm even one of those people that if I feel sick at all, like with a fever or anything,
Hmm.
I won't match because I'm like, I might not be making the clearest decisions. You know what
Right.
I mean? So I just
Yeah.
won't even work on those days, so I just never, I don't really worry about any of that kind of stuff. I guess some people worry about all of that. It just doesn't
Hmm.
even cross my mind. To me, it's this is point A, this is point B, this is my job, get it done.
There you
Pretty
go.
simple.
What criteria do you use and look for when you're setting up a fight? What are the main things that you have to look at?
Of course, weight classes come first. You know what I mean? You have
Hmm.
to make sure everybody's the same weight classes. Every state has a little bit different rules. So a lot of state age comes into factor. So
Hmm.
I'm in Ohio, and once you hit 35, age is a factor because you go into
Yeah.
a different division and stuff like that. So of course, those kind of things come in, and then your experience level. If I'm coming out of a garage, never wrestled in high school, never did anything, you know what I mean? I don't want to make that person fight somebody who's a collegiate wrestler. You know,
Sure. Yeah.
those are the type of things that you kind of have to look at and
Keep
go,
it fair
okay,
as
what are
possible.
their experience? Yeah, yeah. Keep it as even as possible because I don't want to know who's going to win. If you know what I mean? And I want the fans to know who's going to win. I
Hmm.
want the fans to have the best show. I want the fighters to
Yeah.
have the best possible matchups that they can so that everybody's happy at the end of the day.
Are there states that are much easier to work with than others?
Yes, I
Is
mean,
there?
rules
Okay.
wise, you know what I mean?
Sure.
I mean, everyone's like, "Oh, I love this commissioner. I love that commissioner." I have no problems with any of the commissioners that I work with. I'm very, very anal retentive on paperwork, so they all love me that way because I pretty
Cool.
much do all their paperwork. But I'd rather have it done ahead of time and not have to
Hmm.
worry about little things fight day. No, I can't. There's too many things that can go wrong on fight day to worry about little things like paperwork.
Right.
So most of the commissions I work with, if you call them up and you're like, ask about me, they'll all be like, "Oh, she's amazing. She's awesome. She always has her stuff in on time." Because I don't want to be a problem to anybody. I want to have my stuff done early. I do match in several states, and I've got sometimes 2 shows a month that I'm matching for because I match
Okay.
for like 4 to 5 promotions at a time to make
Hmm.
ends meet. So it's kind of like one of those, I've heard that they call me a mercenary for hire. But is what it is.
Yeah.
I go in the other one that I've heard was it Captain Save a Show. So I've heard a lot of those. But
There we go.
it's one of those
That's a
things,
good one.
every commission's just different. They have different rules. And as long as
Sure.
you know the rules, none of them are really harder to deal with than another. It's just some have way more rules than others. So it makes it a little trickier on getting things approved, is all.
Sure. I would guess a state like, say, Texas, California, New York is more of a process than Montana.
New York, I have never worked in, but I have heard about it a little bit.
Yeah.
California, the medicals, that's the hard part there. They require so many medicals,
Hmm.
that a lot of the fighters they can't afford them.
Yeah.
But they're very good about getting back to you really quickly. Then you have other states that don't want to get back to you at all, and you're like, I don't know what to do. You know what I mean? So, and believe it or not, then there's other states like that I've had to deal with, like Mississippi, that's like, is there anyone here? you know, is anyone running this? So you've got it
Wow.
from top to bottom. You know what I mean? Not to out Mississippi or anything. I'm sure over the years they've gotten better. It's been years since I've dealt with them. But when I
Right.
did deal with them about 4 or 5 years ago, it was like the commission was non existent there. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But yeah, so,
Okay.
it just all depends.
All right. I would like to know about the worst day of your career, and then in turn, the best day of your career.
Worst day of my career is anytime someone gets severely hurt. It's one of those things. I've seen two really, really bad ones. I had one that the guy got completely knocked out. Until this day, this one's probably the worst one because when he got completely knocked out, he was not responsive for 5 minutes.
Oh,
And when he did finally open his eyes, they were gray. There was no color. No, nothing. They were just this odd color that I'll never forget in my life. It was, I couldn't see the pupil. It was just glassed over, kind of
mm,
like when animals lose their sight, that weird
sure.
color. That's what
Yeah.
his eyes looked like. And it scared the ever living shit out of me.
Mm,
And it happened early on in my career. That one happened probably my second year matching. So
okay.
that one sticks. That one sticks, but anytime anyone gets severely hurt, it's just
Hmm.
not a good day at the office. It still hurts my heart to this day when people, when they don't. And
You
then
feel a
there's
responsibility because you put him in that position.
yeah, and then the
Yeah.
other one that still to this day can bring a tear is, I worked for a promotion and there was a kid that fought for them. And he ended up fighting one of the promoter's guys. And at the end of the night, the kid had a rough day. He was a very good fighter. He had a good record in MMA, even better record in boxing. He was a pro
Hmm.
boxer too. You know what I mean? So it's not like he was
Right.
someone who wasn't, decorated at what he did. The end of the night, pretty much the promoter and his wife told this fighter, maybe he should hang it up. He's got no business being a fighter, get a day job. Said way worse stuff than that I'm not even going to
Hmm.
repeat. And he was just in tears. And, I
Sure.
was trying to talk to him, being like, don't listen to them. They're idiots. You know what I mean? That was uncalled for. And I kept checking on him for about 2 weeks because he seemed really upset, and he's like, I only did this fight because my mom was
Sure.
battling cancer. And then I felt even
Oh.
worse because nobody knew. He's like, I didn't even train full time because I was helping her and I needed the money to help pay for her
Man.
stuff. And
Mm.
oh, that just rings, you know what I mean? And about 2 weeks later, I got hit up by his family and he had committed suicide.
Mm.
But they're very nice people. They thanked me for checking on him and for being good to him, and you know what I mean. And pretty much, that promotion dug his grave, and I'll never ever forget that for the rest of my life, let alone my career in this. So
That's rough, man.
probably the worst ones, and neither of them I think will ever, you know what I mean, leave my system.
Right. Okay. How about the best night? What makes it the best night of your career?
Honestly, like they're all fun nights. You know what I mean? I can't think of one that's like, oh my God, this was the best. I've had
Okay.
some crazy off the wall ones, but
Extra big Christmas
I
bonus somewhere?
no, no,
No?
no,
No
no.
Christmas bonuses in MMA
Payment is never the
matchmaking?
bonus. The love of it is the bonus, and
That's
getting to
right.
watch everybody's fights is the
Yeah.
bonus. Seeing like the work come to reality is the bonus. I
Yeah.
guess maybe one of the most memorable nights that I'll have is my husband fought on the Dana White looking for a fight show, and he was
Hmm.
there, and you know. Every time someone would try to walk up to his table, the security was real thick on it. You know what I mean? They kept
Sure.
stopping him. And in between, my husband had just fought. And I'm like, love you, baby. I'll be right back. He's in the cage still. I ran over to Dana White and I was like, I'm the best fucking matchmaker in the Midwest. You should hire me. And ever like Matt Sarah was like, that was ballsy. I'm like, that's just me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was just kind of funny. And, I don't know. It was
Yeah.
just it was whimsical. It was not planned. It
Hmm.
was just kind of like, there he is. I'm going to go say hi. I'm going to do something, you know? So,
Yeah.
but I don't think I'll ever forget it because he was very nice about it. Asked me my name, talked to me for a few minutes. This didn't have the security take me away or anything, but,
Right.
I probably won't ever forget that one.
Okay. If someone was thinking about getting into matchmaking, what would you tell them are the main do's and don'ts starting out?
Don't do it.
Don't do it at all. Go get a different job.
For when you do the hours of it's just truth. People are
I
like, they
believe
want you
you.
to lie. People want you to lie to them, but I'd
No,
rather just be like, listen, don't do it. It's
this
a
is real
headache
stuff
for,
here.
right, but for how many hours that you put into it, when
Hmm.
you like do the math on how many hours you put in and what you get paid, and I'm making like $7 an hour. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a lot of money. So that's why I say don't do it. But if you do it, don't lie to people. Just treat people well. That's
Sure.
that's the main thing. Just, this whole world these days, that's the easiest thing to do. Just be yes people, tell people what they want to hear.
Hmm.
It's one of those things that I would rather tell somebody, and I have told people, you know, go take up golf. This is not for you. And people
Yeah.
don't like me for stuff like that. But the person that I did tell that to was a father of 5 children who was losing and never won a fight. And he
Hmm.
was just going to get hurt. And last thing I want is a father of
Sure.
5 to be a
Yeah.
vegetable. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
he wasn't even just fighting for me. The poor kid only fought for me maybe once. And I was the one that was just like, don't do this, and of course, stuff like that people don't want to hear, but it's one of those things that some people you have to save from themselves. Other
Right.
than that, it's just treat people good. Treat people good is the only thing. Be honest. Those are the easiest things in the world to do, but
Hmm.
seems like the hardest things for matchmakers sometimes to do.
All the
So,
most successful people that I have spoke to who have had the most longevity in this industry all live by the treat people the way you want to be treated motto.
right, right.
Don't lie to people, don't screw people over, and you'll be fine. And
Right.
that works
My
every
big thing
day.
is I'm a mom on
Hmm.
top of doing this. I've been a mom the whole time I've done this. So it's like if I'm telling my children to act a certain way, I
Hmm.
can't go look myself in the mirror if I'm not doing the same shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I can't be like, oh, don't lie, you don't do this, don't do that. And
Hmm.
then, look at myself in the mirror and expect them to do anything, differently. So,
Yeah.
that's kind of the way that I think about things. I want my kids to grow up to be good people, and you've got to be a good role model for your kids to be good people in the end of the day.
Absolutely. What are some of the biggest changes in the sport that you've watched happen in the last 20 years?
Well, on the business side, women are more accepted. Like when I started, we were not. Here's part of it. Here's some of the story. We were not accepted at all being matchmakers.
Hmm.
When I started, there wasn't any. People
Right.
didn't. At least on my side of the country. I'm East Coast. There really wasn't any of us out there.
Hmm.
There was some husband and wife teams, that were doing everything, but there
Sure.
wasn't just some sovereign what they call matchmaker out there. You know what I mean? And that's what I got
Hmm.
called, the chick from Ohio. Actually, I got called the bitch from Ohio. To be honest with you, is
No.
what I yes, I got coined the bitch from Ohio, and I kept getting called the MMA bitch from Ohio so much that I went
Nice.
ahead and got it tattooed. So
You
anytime someone
embraced
said
it.
it,
There you go.
so anytime everyone said, I'm like, yep. And I would show them and just giggle and
Yep.
walk away. And then what are they going to
That's
say?
awesome.
It was like one of those things, but,
Hmm.
it was like one of those things when I started that I would get on the phone with people and they'd be like, oh, you're the secretary. No, I'm the matchmaker. Or, oh, can I speak to your boss? Well, I'm the one matching the fights. I do have a boss if you'd like to talk to him, but he's not going to know what the hell you want. You
Right.
know what I mean? Or, you know, who's the man in charge? That was the best one. Who's the man that's matching these fights? Well, the one time I was really upset that the one day it was just a bad day, and I had
Hmm.
hit like 4 or 5 different people had asked me that same thing, and finally I like put the phone down. I'm like, oh, I'm just ready to pop, and I'm like, okay, I'll get them. And I was like, I'm the guy, I'm that guy. Like I was just that upset that day.
Hmm.
But I think the women being more accepted now, is a huge thing. Not just the business side, but having them, being a regular mainstay in fights. It's
Hmm.
not just a novelty anymore. It's not, oh, we have a female fight on the card. No, it's just
Right.
a fight on the card now. It's just another fight. It's not,
Yeah.
like, oh my goodness, a novelty, I guess, per se. The other differences I see is now there's a lot more keyboard warriors. Whereas
Hmm.
everybody before, if they said they were going to fight, they were going to show up and they were going
Right.
there
Yeah.
wasn't YouTube to watch your opponent and do all this backstory, especially in the amateur divisions. Everybody
Hmm.
fought everybody.
Yeah.
Nobody like had to look up their opponent and do 10 days of research before they said yes or no to a fight. It was
Right.
basically, "Well, let me
Yes or
just,
no.
yeah, or give them an hour or two and maybe come back with yes or no." It wasn't
Hmm.
this one isn't a good fight for me because he's a year older than me, or, stuff like just crazy stuff off the wall.
That matters to
It,
people. A year.
yes, yes, like it's crazy that some of the stuff that you hear these days, the generational gap of fighters were tougher back then. They're more skilled now. Yes,
Sure.
of
Yeah.
course. They all understand now you can't be one genre of fighting. You can't
Yeah.
have just one background. You have to be a total martial artist. Whereas
Yeah.
before you could come in and, just be a wrestler or
Yeah.
just be great at striking or whatever, but now you kind of have to do it all. So
Hmm.
yes, they're way more technical and way more skilled than they used to be. But that tough gene is way less, is what I see,
Yeah.
honestly.
Show me a modern day Don Fry.
It's funny because my right, it's funny because my older fighters, the ones that you see that are like somewhere from like 35 to like probably 38, 30,
Hmm.
like, or even some of the ones that are even older than that are still fighting. Those are my tough ones. They'll show
Right.
up and fight regardless if they got one foot. Not saying that the new ones aren't tough, but because there still are a lot of them that are. I'm just saying as a whole generation, you see way more backouts now. You see way more, you know, people martial arts was built off of respect, and you see a big lack of that.
Yeah.
Those are the big differences. um it's really it, though. The rest of it, you know pretty much the same. Like, all the paperwork's the same, all
Right.
the hoops are the same.
What are some things you'd like to see change in the next 20 years?
Um, I'd like to see some of us women in the higher up promotions, like doing big things, not just
Hmm.
fighting. At least the fighters are getting that, but, I
Right.
don't see any of the top, tier promotions other than INTA, which is all female run.
Hmm.
Having females out there, in the bigger positions.
Right.
Other than that, I like to see, right now you see a lot of shopping. That's the new thing. I don't know if you know what shopping is, but shopping's kind of like a coach or a fighter will shop around to like 8 different promotions. So you waste
Hmm.
a week on matching that person,
Yeah.
and come to find out, you see a poster, they're already matched. You know, I kind of like to see it go back to how it used to be. If a fighter was on a card, they're on a card, and you match them. And if you can't match
Sure.
them, you just say, "Hey, listen, not doing so great with this matchup. Go ahead and find something."
Right.
Which doesn't happen very often. But for newer matchmakers, it happens all the time. So, I would love to see, if you're on a card, be on a card. Don't shop.
Yeah.
Other than that, the it's flooded right now. The scene is flooded. There's so much of it. I'd
Hmm.
rather see less of it with more substance than to see more of it completely watered down like it is getting right now.
More
So that's
quality,
pretty.
less quantity.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
that's kind of what I'd like to see, you know what I mean? And
Okay.
people being, just, and this has nothing to do with MMA. This is just in general, people being about their word in life in general.
Yeah.
It's not just about this sport. Just do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
It's not hard, be accountable, and
Yeah.
that's the whole world now. I think that would help the whole world, not just, the industry that we're in.
Absolutely. Um, this is a chance for you to maybe shout somebody out. Who are some people you met early on or along the way that if you hadn't met or worked with, you may not have reached the levels that you have?
Wish I could thank somebody, but nobody wanted a female to do this when I started.
Nobody? Not a
I
single
was
person?
kicked, pushed, I mean? I was pummeled down. Like it was one of those "we don't want you here, sweetheart" type things. So it was. I can be thankful that the people that did let me, match. Like once I had left the house promotion that had
Hmm.
started with, NAAFS, they did give me the chance to be their matchmaker when they could have just said no to a woman.
There you go.
And all of the people that we all kind of started out together there. They were a
Hmm.
great crew, and they were all about it. They were all about, yeah, she's good at what she does. You know what I mean? They never treated me differently or like the girl. Like I was just one of the guys at the promotion.
Right.
So those would be the people that I would thank the most. Other than that, it really was one of those nobody wanted a woman here. So it was
Gotcha.
kind of like, I'm gonna do this out of spite. I'm gonna show you. I'm not leaving. I'm gonna be like cockroaches. When they get in your house, they don't leave. That's
See,
gonna be
there's that.
me.
Your eyes are doing the thing again they were doing earlier when you were talking. That's why I asked you if you did it to make your parents mad. It's that.
No, it was to just make everybody else mad.
Okay, okay. There we go. I knew there was some rebellion there somewhere.
Oh yes, I was always the rebellious kid. Like I said, I was the
There we go.
tomboy with the tutu.
There we go.
If there was a line, I was habitually going to walk that line.
Awesome. Um, in 20 years from now, when people look back and talk about you, what do you hope they say about your career?
Ah,
What is your legacy?
I mean, I was one of the first women to do this, so hopefully it'll be remembered
Pioneer.
as, now, more women were able to do this because
Hmm.
someone like myself took the blunt, how do they say that? They bared the grunt or whatever they call that. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's an old saying. I don't know what it is, but basically I carried it on my back so that they don't have to now, you
Yeah.
know. Pretty much that, and hopefully maybe I break national before the end of my career and get to retire with a decent paycheck and some notoriety. And if not, then at least I was one of the OGs, one of the pioneers that did this, and I didn't take no for an answer,
Yeah.
and I pushed through and I did what I had to do to make it my way through this business of MMA. And kind of I've been around for so long. Are like, you're a dinosaur. Yes, I am a dinosaur in this. But I'm not going anywhere anytime soon either. So I still got
Good.
another, probably, I'm going to try for another 20, see if I can last that long.
Awesome. I hope you do. Um, these next questions are, I call them my pick one or the other questions. I want to get to know you as a person, not a matchmaker, a little bit. Some of these are going to be goofy. Some of them you might wish I
That's all
hadn't
right. We're all a
asked,
little
but we'll
crazy and
see.
goofy. It's okay.
All right, here we go. My first question: what do you like better, pizza or burgers?
Pizza.
There we go. What's your favorite?
Just plain cheese or
Plain cheese.
jalapenos. I can do
Oh, there we go.
jalapenos too.
Jalapeno
Yep.
sausage is my jam.
Is it? See, I
Yeah.
don't mind sausage, but I just don't eat a lot of meat. That's probably why it's not burgers.
There we
But
go.
yeah. Yep.
Okay. Are you a dog person or a cat person?
Cat.
Cat? How many do you have?
Yep. I'm allergic to dogs.
Okay.
So, can't really be a dog person when you're allergic to most dogs. Some dogs I'm
Yeah.
not so much, but I like dogs. If I pet them too much, I get welts and swelly and my nose fills up. So,
Don't do
that's why I'm a
that.
cat person because I don't get that when
Perfect.
I touch a cat.
All righty. Um, better movie, kickboxer, or blood sport?
Oh, I like both of them for different reasons. Different
Okay.
reasons. I'm gonna go down the middle on that one.
All right. Uh, in your bathroom at home, does the TP go over the roll or behind?
Over the roll.
Very
Me and
good.
my husband constantly have this thing because he puts it behind. And I
There we
always have
go.
to turn it. And I'm like, babe, you got to put it the other way.
Okay, if you're at somebody else's house and it's behind, do you fix
I'm
it?
not going to flip their toilet
Okay.
paper.
I've talked to so many people that say, "Yeah, I fix it." I don't know what's wrong with people.
now, now I have noticed at hotels, it's always over. So that's why
Hmm.
when my husband will be like, but you're supposed to put it under, I'm like, no, when have you ever been to a hotel and you see it under?
They're in the hospitality business.
They should know, right? Now they
Yeah,
do all kinds of
exactly.
fancy things like folds and everything like that. I don't get
Yeah,
that fancy.
a little
No.
duck coming out of the
Sorry,
towel.
my house
Yes.
doesn't have any fancy toilet paper. It's just on the right direction.
All right. Next one. Both in their prime, Ali or Tyson.
Ali for boxing, Tyson for the way that he made the world know who he was by being crazy and just, different. And he,
Hmm.
he lived out in Southington near us. So, getting to go by his house was kind of cool when I was a little kid
Wow.
too.
Awesome. All right. Are you more likely to drink a coffee or an energy drink?
Neither. I'm not allowed to have
Okay.
caffeine. But before I could find that
How do
out,
you live?
you know what? It's been really bad these last 2 years since they took me off caffeine. Like, I was an energy drink person before I had my last child. I was drinking two Nosses,
Okay. Yeah.
sugar-free ones. I was skyrocketing. How I didn't die, I don't know. And then after my last child, I went to, because my husband drinks coffee, I went to, okay, I'll
Hmm.
drink coffee with him in the morning. We'll have, some morning time together. And
Yeah.
yeah, then my doctor's like, no more caffeine. So yeah, it was like a whole breakdown. That first, like,
Did you
probably
go through
three
headaches
months.
and anger and all that?
3 months of headaches. I don't think I
Yeah.
had the angries. I don't know. Maybe ask
Okay.
him. I don't know. But I did have the headaches for 3 full months.
Hmm.
I kind of weaned off using pop. Yeah,
Okay.
even though I don't really love pop, I would just wean off drinking like a little half a pop here and there just when I get the headaches really, really bad.
Hmm.
But other than that, yeah, I miss my caffeine because I did like the way, coffee tastes and smells,
Yeah.
and I still smell it and I'm like, "Ugh, I
The
miss it."
ritual
But
of it as well
decaf
is
is
is part of
terrible.
it.
I've tried. It doesn't
Yeah.
taste the
It's.
same. I don't even know how people drink it, but to each their own.
I remember after I stopped drinking, I tried an O'Doul's, and I don't know how that's a product. It's the worst tasting junk
It
in the
is
world.
awful. Yeah,
It's
when I
like
worked at
sweet
a
flat
restaurant,
beer.
I wanted to know what it tasted like. I worked at this little Italian restaurant, and the guy, we had it on tap because there was a bunch of older
Hmm.
gentlemen that used to come in and, order it. So I was like, I gotta taste it. And he put it like in a little glass. I'm like, "Bleh, nope,
Mm-mm.
never again."
No. All right. Let's see here. If you could go to the dealership today and pick out either a brand new Harley Davidson or a brand new ski boat, which one would it be?
Neither. I think I'd kill myself on both. I'd ask them, can I please have a different car?
There you go.
New car?
There we go. All right. As a fight fan, do you prefer to watch an epic quick knockout or a long brutal war?
Long brutal war.
There we go. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Because if it's that good, sometimes I'm like, I wish there was another round. You know how that
Yeah.
goes. Even if it's five
Absolutely.
rounds, some of them are just so good that you're just like, oh, I can watch this all day long.
Uh, you're going on vacation. Are you going on a cruise ship or a ski resort?
Cruise ship. I'm not going anywhere cold. I'm not good on
Okay.
skis. I'm pigeon toed. My skis cross. I've tried it. It is not good. Nobody wants to
Uh,
see that shit on a mountain. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna Google video of pigeon-toed people skiing after we're done. I gotta see
Please
this.
do, because let me tell you, it's legit real. Like, it's not easy. Your feet cross, your skis cross, and it's all types of bad. Never,
I believe you.
not trying that again.
Oh, that's
Once
funny.
was way enough.
Who do you put on your Mount Rushmore of greatest fighters ever? Top four. Any
Okay.
sport, any combat sport.
I'm just gonna leave it with MMA because you know what I
Okay.
mean. Since I'm in the industry, we might as well give kudos to the industry. Of
Sure.
course, we gotta probably go with Hoist Gracie because
Hmm.
he changed the sport in general.
Yeah.
He came in when everyone was just knocking everyone out or wrestling, and suddenly people are like, "Oh shit, what's this guy doing in
Hmm.
his pajamas in here winning?" Like, what's this
Yeah.
jujitsu stuff? So he kind of changed the face of MMA. At that time
Hmm.
frame, and kind of made it into more of what it is now.
Yeah.
Everyone has to learn the different sides of it.
Yep.
Whereas before, that was, I feel like, the one martial art that was kind of left out of MMA before him.
Hmm.
Um, Let me think. Huh, huh, huh. I would have to either go with Ronda Rousey or Holly Holm as a tie because Ronda
Okay.
got the girls into the UFC,
Hmm.
where he had said before, never would a female fight in
Never
the UFC.
outside that
But
car on the sidewalk.
career wise, I'd have to go with Holly Holm because she's had a longer career. She
And the
didn't quit
boxing.
doing it. And on top of it, she didn't quit doing it. She's still
Hmm.
doing it. She's still a G doing it at 43
Yeah.
years old, still looking great as ever, putting on good fights. And she's also one that, like, kids can look up to. She's not
Absolutely.
like
Yeah.
one of those female fighters that you go, Oh God, my daughter's, that's her, like, that's who she wants to be. If Holly Holm was who my daughter wanted to be, I'd be like, oh hell yeah. You know what I
Yeah, you
mean?
could
To be
do a lot
proud of
worse than
that
that.
being, the person that they're looking up to.
Hmm.
Um, Let me think. I'd have to go probably with Rich Franklin. Not
Nice.
totally because of the fighting, that too, and not totally because he's from Ohio, and we have to have one from Ohio on it if I'm making it, right? But
Yeah.
because it was one of those things, he was a teacher.
Yeah.
He kind of brought in that normal people do that, which
Yeah.
made this sport become more mainstream. Because before, people looked at us like, oh, they're just Neanderthals doing this, or oh, it's just the drudge of the drudge, like
Hmm.
type people. No, it's normal people too. It's
Right.
some dude's teacher going to school. And not just that, it brought into the whole fact for the generation of the fighters that, yeah, I should have a job too, or something to fall back on.
Yeah.
Not just put all my A's in this basket, have this, have that. Like if he wanted to today, he could go back to teaching. Not that he would ever
Hmm.
need it because he made it, but he had a solid foundation, kind of like Stipe, who still
Hmm.
to this day is a
Yeah.
firefighter. It's like one of those type of things that shows these
Hmm.
younger kids still have a job, have a background, have a foundation, because you never know what's going to happen in this.
Yeah.
Um, and then the other one, I think her name was Becky Levi. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
She was one of the original girls that ever fought. I remember watching her years ago on Smack Girls, of all things. Like
Wow.
back then, you couldn't find female fighting,
Yeah.
And I remember when I first started, I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to learn everything.
Hmm.
So I was even Googling about female fights and this and that. And she was one of those girls, and I might have her first name wrong, but I know her last name was Levi for sure. But I remember watching her and being like, this is amazing. Like that, because there wasn't girls fighting, so to find a female fighting back then was one of those, oh my gosh, type
Hmm.
situations. So someone had to pioneer it.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of them since then, but she was like that first girl that,
Right.
if, to this day, I'm sure if you ask these new fighters, they'll be like, who? But I just remember watching her and watching her on that Smack Girls thing, because they used to have actually put out videos on it, and being very impressed that, she was doing this when it was
Hmm.
you didn't see girls doing it. So, and
That's
to keep it
awesome.
fair, I put two girls and two guys up there, gotta be PC.
Exactly. I'm supposed to ask you about the time that you went to get Sean Salmon to collect his pay, and you made the mistake. I don't know if mistake's the word for it. The choice to lead him to his pay by holding his hand and walking him that direction. I'm supposed to ask you about how his wife responded to you taking him to get his paycheck.
Well, she was a fun one. I'm harmless. I'm just a
Sure.
harmless person. Like, no, I wasn't married at the time. This was,
It's his
gosh,
ex-wife now too, as
yeah.
well.
Oh yeah.
So,
I mean, it was probably going to be ex-wife around that time. Little did I know I stepped in it. You know what I mean? And I was just like, "Hey, let's go get your pay." And I grabbed his wrist. It wasn't even
mhm.
his hand. I grabbed his wrist.
Okay.
I was like, "Let's go get your pay." You know what I mean? And I walked him right to the boss. I was like, "Here, you got to blah blah blah. Pay him blah blah blah." And she just threw an ever loving fit. She was just, but to the dismay, she almost got kicked out earlier because she was yelling profanities at him, telling him that he sucked and like how effing this, that, and the third could you lose, yeah, and called him all types of names. And yeah, I wasn't
Jeez.
really. Yeah,
Poor
so that
Sean.
I had words with her because I was like, how are you going to treat your husband like that, but B, any fighter who fights like that to have disrespect, because they're in like the very low percentile of people in the
Hmm.
world, and they're out there bleeding for your entertainment. Like, have some
Yeah.
freaking respect. So her and I had already had words earlier, so I don't think it was that I grabbed him by the
Okay.
wrist and like took him to go get paid. I think it was more she was already pissed because
Okay.
she was talking mad shit on a fighter. Lo and behold, I didn't know that it was her husband that she was talking
Okay.
shit on at first. I was just thinking, who is this crazy ass lady who's like talking mad shit? Like,
Right.
to find out later that, yeah, that who was his sort of wife at the time. And
Sean
is
told
what
me
it
that
is.
story day before yesterday, and it was even more colorful than what you just shared, but
Oh
equally as
yes.
funny.
Oh yes. It got to the point that like then I ran into her at the bar later and I was like, she started to get in my face. I'm like, listen, you don't want this. I am not in the mood. I will whoop your fucking ass. Get away from me. Like that was the end of it. They broke it up right away. The guys that we were like, I was with like a couple of the guys from the fight league and
Hmm.
the one ring girl or two that came out. We all went out that night and they were all like, no, you don't. Like, you better just walk away type situation. Because this
Wow.
was during the years that we did do like after hours, like little fights and this and that. So they'd all
Sure.
seen me, like
Yeah.
scrap a little bit at those days. So, but yeah, that was a funny story. It was a good one. But
He
yeah.
still remembers it, and it's a pleasant
I'm
memory. And
sure it definitely it was in a lot of people's heads. You know what I mean? Like this crazy ass lady screaming out of nowhere, like after the fights are over. What the hell is going on here?
wow.
Nobody knew what was going on.
What is something that you really enjoy that even people close to you don't know about?
Huh.
Do you secretly like
Anyone
binge
that's
watch cooking
close to
shows?
me, I don't. I'm not like I gotta move that arm. That one's dead. I've been
Do you,
holding it the whole time.
do you sing Backstreet Boys at intersections?
I do not sing Backstreet Boys at intersections, but I could. But I guess my husband and people like close to me know,
Okay.
I I still like to dance. I was in the Ohio
All right.
Ballet when I was younger. I toured the country dancing competitively. And I also like to sing. I dropped out of college to tour in a band and stuff like that. So,
Awesome.
I got to the band that I was in actually opened for Kid Rock, and so we it was for me it was a good reason to drop out of college, but to my parents it was yeah. I was persona non grata for a while. They were
The
not too happy with
dancing
me.
matchmaker. Wow.
Yeah, yeah, singing and dancing. Yeah,
There we
yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah,
All right.
yeah. I did
As
musicals too back in college, so hey.
musicals, which ones?
I was in Greece.
Okay.
I was in what's the other one's name? I don't even remember the name. There was two other ones that I did. The one was not popular at all, and then the other one was the one with the song that I auditioned with. I played the girl that did tits and ass. Was the name of the song? I
Nice.
can't remember the name of the actual play, but
Hmm.
but yeah. So I did a couple
Okay.
musicals and stuff like that. Yeah, I always wanted to do Cats because I thought it was cool, but never
Yeah.
went that far with it. I had took an injury to the spine and quit, and here we are. I'm doing this.
There you go. That's awesome. Um, as you know, I try to reach people who are going through struggles with these interviews and inspire them to keep going, not give up. If you had a message to share with people about asking for help, going through hard times, what would that message be?
I for sure reach out to somebody. You know what I mean? I try to keep even myself open to the fact of any of the fighters if they're going through it. You know, I'm not someone close to you. So sometimes I feel like it's easier for someone to speak with someone who isn't in their family or one of
Sure.
their friends because they feel like they're going to be looked at differently
Right.
or however else, judged or
Yeah.
whatever it is. I feel like don't don't go ahead and just off yourself. We've had so many suicides lately, especially in our area, from through the in the MMA community. That
Hmm.
the biggest thing that I'm just like, I don't care if it's me. I don't care if you reach out to another fighter you don't even know. Just reach out to somebody.
Yeah.
Anybody, call the 1-800 number for goodness sakes if you have to.
Hmm.
Granted, most people don't do that because they say then they have your number, they come to your house, whatever. So, but just find somebody if you're that, distraught and hard off and
Sure.
just talk to somebody and just other people who are just struggling in general. If it's money, ask for help. If it's life in general, try to make your situation better.
Hmm.
Just don't give up no matter what it is. If you feel like you're going to give up, just don't give up because life
Exactly.
isn't easy. Life isn't easy. No one said it was easy, but you just have to push through, get over the hill. It's not going
Yeah.
to last forever. That hard time is not going to last forever.
It always
So,
gets better.
yes, it has to. Can't get worse.
Yeah.
That's the way you got to look at it. If it's that
Yeah.
hard and that bad, it can't get worse. Just push
Exactly.
through, get to the other side. Never
That's
know
a
what's
good
going
name.
to happen.
The other side. That's good. I like that. Other than
Quotes.
matchmaking, what else do you have going on in your life these days?
Um, I match, I manage fighters. I'm a mom and a wife. I actually, my husband is a fighter, so
Mhm.
it's an in-house thing. We've been together 13 years, so I've got that going on. Our
That's a
littlest,
big deal these days.
yeah, we hit 13 years. Everyone,
That's awesome.
it was like the running bet when we first got together that it wouldn't last a year, right? But we were like, we, we've
When
lasted
you got
13.
married, that was a bet.
Yeah, it was. They were like, how many months, how many weeks, how many whatever. You know, like I
Wow.
think the highest bet was a year at the time. But
Vote of
we were
confidence.
younger. But listen, we made
Sure.
it 13 years. No one's dead. No one's buried in my
Yeah.
backyard. We're good. We're
Awesome.
good. So, but and we've got a young one right now. So our little one's he just started his second year of wrestling and stuff. So we're real deep this minute into wrestling season. Then we go to soccer and everything else. So,
Hmm.
I'm the mom. I do all the mom things. Minus PTA. I'm not really so good at the PTA mom thing. They don't want me there.
I went to one.
Did you?
I went
Yeah,
to
I
one.
wasn't really. They
One.
did. They just kind of looked at me and kind of left me in the back. I'm like, yeah, you don't want me here at school. I don't really want to be here then. So
I felt like my purpose in being there was to lift and move the heavy things that nobody else wanted to do.
I still volunteer for all the kids' parties and stuff. I'm just
Right?
not part of the PTA. I'm still the mom that goes to, oh, you need somebody at your Halloween party or your Valentine's party. You know what I mean? I got
Sure.
you. Crafts,
Awesome.
I got you. I'll do all that. But, I don't need to sit here at these meetings for,
Yeah.
to get nothing done, to get away from my family. I want to spend time with my family. I'm not trying to get away from them just to be at a
Right.
PTA
Yeah.
meeting.
Um,
So.
what is the best way for fans and friends of yours to keep up with you?
I am so easy to keep up with. I have a Twitter. I don't really use it. That's probably the one platform that it's my least favorite.
Hmm.
But I have two different Facebooks because one was supposed to be my personal one and the other one was my matchmaking one, but it kind of seeped back and forth. So now
Right.
they're both my matchmaking one. I don't really have a personal one, but it's just under my name, Nicole
Okay.
Castillo. The other one's Nicole MMA Matchmaker. And then Instagram, it's NCMGT Fighters
Okay.
because that's my name
Awesome.
for the company's name.
Is there anything else you want to share before we hop off here?
I don't think so. I think we covered pretty much everything. I hope you do
All right.
well, and keep doing this because, more people need to hear the different stories of the different, especially famous fighters, because
Uh-huh.
they've got more pull. People will listen to them, and
Yeah.
some of them have extremely important stories to tell.
Yeah.
And without people like you, we'd never hear them.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, I appreciate your time. I tell everybody at this point, and I do this. I don't know why. I don't mean to. Thank you very much for
For
sharing your
sure.
time with me.
Thanks for
It's an
having
honor
me.
to have you on. Absolutely. I will. I'll upload this to YouTube. I'll send you the first copy. If for any reason you don't like it, take it down. It's happened once before.
Eh.
Um,
I'm not, like I said, I'm one of those, I really don't care what people think. So,
there you go.
it's just me.
Awesome. Well, thank you
See
again,
what you
Nicole, and
get.
I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye.